Hey, how about something a little different? So, very briefly, 42 years ago, after I just got married, I was a young college student, I found this in a dumpster at my apartment complex. And it didn't work, the switch was broken. Now, in those days, you would just go down to, this is a Craftsman, you go down to your local Sears store and buy a new switch. So I replaced the switch, and this thing worked great, and it's been serving me for 42 years since. And it works great, and it's been a solid drill. But what I was really here to talk about is the other day I went on a garage sale pick. I came across its big brother. I got it for $1. The guy told me that you can plug it in and it would run, but it wouldn't stop running. So you try to go online and try to find a new switch, and you can't find them anymore. I don't know if it's because of Sears problem, or is it just that part. But anyway, I thought we'd open this thing up and see if we can fix that switch. Okay, let's see if we can repeat the problem. Alright, so we've got this rigged up here. We're going to go through the isolation supply just because it's the way I got it set up on my bench. Let's see. Let's give it 120 volts here. There's no capacitors in here. I don't need to bring it up slow. And this is mainly just to use the dim bulb in case there's a short. Boy, it's pulling a lot of power, I'll say that. Okay, let's see how many watts we're pulling here. Bypass. I just roached my fuse. Okay, this thing is pulling more than an amp. Let's see how many watts this thing is pulling. 3 amps. Okay, no wonder 3 amps. No wonder I tore up the fuse. Okay, well good. The panel's doing its job. 3 amps. Okay, I'll get a larger fuse to put in there, and we can get on with this test. And I'll put another 1 amp out there ready to go for me to remember to replace it, and then we'll get back on this guy. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I turn this thing on, and it causes my camera to wig out. It just freezes. Looks like it's freezing. Anyway, so it runs real well, in fact. But then what happens is you plug it in and it's running. You can work the switch, and it won't stop running. I had some success of this little button on the side, which is for use when you want to keep it running. You hold it in and push that in to lock it. Well, if I have it running just like this, it's just running like that. If I pressed on this, it would stop running, and then until I released it. So this pressure on the side of the switch is causing it to make and break the contact that it's supposed to have. I didn't attempt to switch direction on it while it was running. It didn't look like it really wants to. But anyway, we're going to take this apart and see what we can find inside, so we can find out what's wrong with that switch. So let's get after it. I'll pop the model number up on the screen here in case somebody wants to know what model this is. This is I mentioned this being the big brother. This is a 1/2 inch. The one I showed you before that I got in 1980. It's a longer plastic thread. Is a 3/8. Variable speed, reversible. At the time, I had a on-off 1/4 inch cheap one, probably a Black & Decker or something like that. Probably got it in the late 70s sometime. Okay, that's another machine thread. So I got a couple of machine threads, 2 short plastic threads, 1 long plastic thread, which is here. Looks like I got another one here. look inside. Here's our switch. I'm not plugged in. Our commutator. And the brushes. It doesn't look like the brushes are easily removable and replaceable. That's interesting. I think my other one had removable brushes from the outside. Anyway. Okay, let's see if we can get in here and look at this switch here. Alright, let me see if I can figure out how to get these released. It's probably a pin or something that I can use to push in and release these connectors. Let me see. I'm also going to put a couple of these screws back in. They didn't need to come out. Help hold the halves together. That's the long one. I don't want that one in. That's actually what I've got in there is probably enough right now. Just this one down here. Hold it all together. And I'll need to take these off right because that gets you into the gearbox. We don't need to get into the gearbox. Alright, let's take a look at what's going on here. We got load and line. I think the switch has got a lot of dirt in it. Looks like it needs to be limbered up because that's not even wanting to shift. Barely moving. Alright. Okay, I've been digging around on this looking for the way in. I can see where these lines have a piece that's pinching on them. But there's no outward sign of where I can get to it. And then I've just noticed that if you look down here, zoom in, look down here, there's a, there you go, you can see it. There's like a snap, a round snap here. There's another one just like it on this side over there. And it looks like to me that the idea is that this bottom panel is pushed in. So maybe this will pull out, bring with it these connections, and then maybe you can get a screwdriver in there to do something with these connections. So let's just together open this thing up and see if we can find out if that opens up. So we'll just see. Okay, I got that kind of, I'm going to leave that in there to keep that disengaged. Here we go. So now I'm going to go after the one on the other side. Okay, can I pry that out? Okay. It's not, I don't think it's really designed to come back apart though, you know. So you kind of have to, there we go. Did you see it shove? I can't see if you can tell. You can see I just got it to kind of budge out. Okay, so let's see what we got. See what we got. We got the inlet line and neutral on the bottom here, and load and neutral coming out. Okay, so let's do this. Come on. These two are tied together. Okay, that's interesting. So there's like a spring clip and it just shoves in. You see that? It's just a spring clip and it shoves in. So maybe what you can do is, well, you can't do it here. I was going to say on the other side, maybe you can push that open and pull the other one out. Because looking in here, I don't really see that I've got access to a screw to undo that. So that's how you do it. Okay. So we put that kind of together as it was. All right, so it just kind of goes in there like that. It gets shoved in, and that pushes that leaf down, and it gets stuck between that and the copper piece. So I'm just going to leave it like that for right now while stuff falls apart. Okay, that's not one piece, that's two pieces. All right. It's falling apart on me here. All right, so let me see if I can leave that alone. So with that knowledge, can I figure out how to get this loose? Well, let's see. If that's held in the same way, then that means I should be able to push back on a spring and pull the lead out. Except I'm going to need a more forceful probe, I think. Is this small enough to fit? Yeah. Got it. Okay, so red is out in that location. Black's already disconnected. And then we've got yellow. There's the switch. There's the body. Got red, black, which goes to here. I've got a yellow and a black. It goes to motor. So the black goes to the bottom. Okay, red goes to motor, and yellow goes to motor. Okay. Now the bottom one I have white, white neutral, black line. I think they call this black load. And this is cord. Okay. Got that written down to remind me what went where in case I get confused. Alright, so I've got black out. Let me see if I can get the others out here. Alright, so there is our switch. So we know that this doesn't really want to move very well. And this has got mung and fung on it. Let me see if I can see in here what's happening. Looks like the contacts are falling out. I'm going to try to figure out how they go back in now. Okay, those little greasy bits fell out. So we got a couple of springs. But one of the things I'll say is these were really greasy, oily, thick. Okay, now we're coming apart here. Sorry guys. So now we're coming apart here. Got a couple of those springs there. Okay, we're running into the lever here on the end. I can kind of get that out of the way. Sneak that out of there. Okay, we had one spring fall. I got the other one on there. You can see one of them on my finger. And it was like that with the there's like a little black plastic thing in the end, kind of downwards as I'm holding it here. So let me set that down. So it's like that wants to be in there somehow. I wonder if the little plastic piece broke. Looks like it might have done, but yeah, it looks like that was meant to be stuck on a post that was injection molded into this plastic switch. That's what it looks like. It's supposed to be sitting on a post somewhere like that. Let's look at the other side. Maybe we can see. Yeah. Alright, so if you can see up in there, that little spring is resting on a post that's actually molded into this black plastic and it's sitting up through there. This other one's broken off. So I don't know if it needs to be secured or not. We'll check into that. Alright, so now let's see. Here's the rest of our switch. And in here we've got a spring. Let's see if we can get that spring out. I bet we can. Okay. Spring is out. I don't see anything else in there. Look at all the grease in there. Can you see that grease? And then looking down from above, there's a Phillips head screw down at the bottom. And that aligns with what's going on here. Let's see if we can just operate that now that it switches apart. That's operating about like it should. That's about the right way. That's obviously for switching polarity. So you go reverse or forward. Okay. I don't think I need to take apart that mechanism in there. I think we just kind of lubricate it or clean it. Alright, let me clean these parts up and I'll bring you back. Okay, so I started cleaning this up, cleaned up a little bits of the frame and things. I'm not trying to go too crazy with it, but I started really looking at some of the parts. Okay, so this is where it was, the cord comes in at the bottom. And you can tell by looking at the tabs where it latches in, the ones I had to kind of pry underneath to get this thing to pop out, that the way this goes back together is with the tabs facing outwards. And there's a key here that makes that happen. So it can really kind of only go together one way, which is like that. Okay. So once that's together, oh, that came off finally. And you look at the top. So here is some of the sliding contacts. And you can see how dirty these are, but it wasn't not making contact, it was making constant contact. I don't know if this is conductive oil or what. I'm surprised to see this goop in here. Now I believe the parts that interface with that are these guys here. Okay, and I need to figure out how they were in there. But I think they might have been doing something like this, although that doesn't make a lot of sense to me yet. So we'll take a look at that. Now the way these were held in is you go to that part of the switch housing. So this came out, right? I was test fitting it. So this is where those little springs were. So they were facing downwards. So you flip it over. See, one of the springs is still there. So these guys fit in here, I believe. They might have gone like that, but I don't think so. I think that the spring is acting as a detent and fits in that little groove that you see there. Okay, so I believe that's going to go in here like this. And that happens to just fit in that space like that. And it's spring loaded. So I believe that is one on both sides, and that is in here going against these contacts on these surfaces here, something like this. So it just moves back and forth. Now we'll need to figure out what else is happening, because we're supposed to be not only turning on and varying the speed, but also the direction. I'm assuming it's variable speed. Actually, I don't know that for a fact. It might not be. Come to think of it, it might not be. Okay, so yeah, that does something like that. And the other spring being broken is kind of a problem. I may have to try to find a way to glue that back on. That other spring location. It's supposed to be like that there. It's supposed to be a base for that spring to go right in there. So we'll see if we can figure out a way to get that in there. And that's what's holding the contacts against these, the shoes against these surfaces here. All right. Okay, so I've done some cleaning on this part here. As you can see, just used a little bit of contact cleaner for control, so it'll have some lubricity without putting all that grease all over everything, right? And so they kind of fit together like I showed you a while ago. These little retainer springs will fall out, and you just have to carefully try not to lose them, like I did one for a bit, and then they just slip back into those positions. And the way they work is when it comes time to put a wire in there, you just shove the wire in. If I can show you, shove the wire in, and it compresses, pushes that silvery looking spring out of the way. It's actually aluminum, I think, and it pushes in and it'll hold it there. And that's what I was fighting with, was to push that spring back out of the way so I could pull this back out. So I also cleaned the inside contacts here as well. Anyway, this is all cleaned up. I think this is all pretty well finished. I cleaned up the little shoes, or the little skates, whatever you want to call them. I cleaned these up too. And I've started to look at how to put this back together again. I'm going to need to do something about that little spring on the switch body, you know, to glue it back in somehow to where it'll stay, because that's what holds the shoes in and keeps the pressure against the contacts, against these plates here. They want to go, these guys here want to be up against there, and then they're slid back and forth to make and break the connection to turn it on and off. Okay, so as I've looked at this, there's these other contacts up here go into this mechanism, which has to do with changing the direction, reversible direction. Do I need to open that up? Well, I don't know, but it'll never be easier than the present to get into there. So maybe I'll go ahead and open it up. One of the things I thought was interesting that I want to bring up is when you insert the switch back into this, there's a interlock mechanism. There's a little pin right, so let me show you, get some focus here. That little pin right there, you can keep your eye on it. It pivots back and forth as you change this, see? That's an interlock that prevents you from switching from forward to backward while this thing is running. So in order to do that, it runs in a channel inside of the switch body. That channel is here. So it has to come, when you're assembling the switch, it fits through a low spot here, and then it enters this channel here. And then once it's back in here, you can push the switch. If it's pushed to one side, and the switch will move, or you can go to here and it'll switch to this side and it'll move, but you can't switch it left and right across this location if the switch is that far in, if it's running. So that's this interlock to prevent you from doing that. And in order to get this thing out, you got to get the pin over in this location so you can get it to find its way out of the body so you can pull this out. Who knew? Okay. So I think I'm going to go in there and take a look at opening this thing up and see if I can get in there to the contacts. Now it could be that the way they come out is here. There's a little hatchway here that I might be able to open up. Maybe that just slides out this way. I might try that first to see if that comes out. So this is going to be switching polarity. So that'll be an interesting little switch. But it is working right now, so I kind of taking a risk to do that. But you know, if it doesn't work, then I'll be unhappy, won't I? The only thing I'm concerned about is that screw is actually holding everything in there. I think it is. Okay, so I'm going to take that screw out, and we'll see what we get. It's not loose yet. Will this move? No. Okay, so when this is on pushing to the right, that's pushing to the left. Now let me center it. Okay, it's not communicating, not touching anymore. That's still pivoting, but it's not moving the little interlock lever anymore. So I'm going to put it back together. It needs to be in that position. I see that wants to move. It'll move, but it doesn't want to move out of there. Let me see. I may need to move that though. Let's see. Is this part of that piece? I bet it is. And then we got this riveted part here. But if I pivot it far enough, it'll slip out, perhaps. There we go. You see that motion? There. It's engaged. And now if I pivot it, trying to get what you can see. If I pivot it, then that can turn and come out of that piece like so. Now I can move that out of the way, and this lifts up. And we're looking down on the switch contacts. Oh wow, they're right here. So there's our switch contacts for reverse and direction. And there's the mating parts in here. Okay, I'm not going to pull the anything else apart. I'm just going to get in there and clean that real good. Good. That turned out easier than I suspected, or as I worried. Okay, let me get this cleaned up. I'll bring you back. Okay, so I went in and started cleaning this out. Cleaning this up. It looks pretty good, right? And there was a lot of grease packed down in here. You can see a little bit of shininess in there. I sprayed some of the, the contact cleaner in here because it has a bit of lubricant. And I thought, well, that'd be good for operating the switch back and forth so we can slide it in and out instead of that grease. So when I got in there with Q-tips and started digging out the grease, stuff fell out. And so what fell out was a big piece of plastic and some little shards were there. Well, that, if you remember when I pulled this out, I thought maybe it looked like something was broken, and sure enough, this is the piece that broke off. So if you look at the back end of this, this is where the spring sets, right? The spring sets in here. You can see, and I don't mean this spring. I mean the main trigger return spring. This it wants to sit in here like that. Okay. So this piece broke off of the side here. And I think it looked kind of like that. And the other little pieces that are here may be related to what was holding that other small spring in. Remember that this guy over here, that fell out and that sits in this location here. You know, maybe that's part of the reason he was not where he was supposed to be. So it could be that this broke off, got twisted up in there, and that was what was preventing this thing from working. Now, does that prevent it from shutting off? Maybe it wouldn't allow it to go back. I don't know. But I think we're probably able to say, there's your problem. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get in there and work on trying to see if I can glue this back. This is not a part I can replace. They don't make these anymore, I don't think. Or at least you can't get it through whatever Sears Direct is or anything anymore. So I'm going to try to glue that back. First I need to get in there and clean all this, you know, lubricant off that I put into here. And I'll go after it with just regular contact spray to get that lubricant off. And then I'll use some of that cyanacrylate and see if I can glue that on. And once I get the main piece on, I'll see where the little pieces went, and then work my way towards the little spring retainer to see if I can find out how to get that little spring held in there. Well, you can't really see this, but everything is too dark to see. But there's the broken part right there. Okay, I'll get this cleaned up and see if I can glue that on. I'll bring it back. Cleaned off the parts with just contact cleaner. I didn't want to use anything more aggressive than that because I didn't want to run the risk of damaging the plastic. Okay. So it's pretty hard to see, but I've glued this part back on here. I wouldn't say it's set yet. I've started trying to find a way to put this post with a spring on it back in there, but what I find is the underside of this is largely gone right here. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix that, but I can see this is probably where this thing got chewed up. I can try to find a way to just put some glue there and see if that makes it stay. We'll find out. Capillaried in very nicely. So we'll see. I don't know if you can see any of that. Okay, so I've glued in a little piece of plastic at the base that has a post sticking down that the spring is stuck up onto. I don't know if it's going to hold. It's going to have a lot of load on it, but maybe after it's enclosed in the housing to where it won't come out. And then there you can see the part I glued on. The corner I think I can try to put on. What I just did is glued the corner back on to this bottom corner right here. Okay, I want to let that set up for a long time. Okay, so it's been about an hour since we let this glue start to set up. I have put another piece that was broken into position. It's sticking up a little bit, but I don't think anything hits that. I wanted something to help give a little bit of reinforcement because this is going to get some force put on it when the contact's right in that location. If I can pick it up. These guys. So that's going to load in there. That's going to load in there like this. Focus. So you can see there's a lot of compression that's going to go on. That's going to put a lot of compression in that spring, and it may very well snap that piece right there. I think that's the original failure mode of this thing, but I could be wrong because this back end broke off as well. So the way this switch works, I've been looking at this. So I believe the way this works is it sits and rides on these blades. There's one of these on the line side and another one on the neutral side, right, from the wall current. Let me use some tweezers to hold on to this. So what I think happens with this is, focus here. Come on, focus. So this slides back and forth, but there's a bump there. And I think when it goes far enough this way, that angle that's just below the tip of my tweezers rides up on that bump, and it makes that last contact break right there to the right of my tweezers. And then when you push the button, it comes back, the spring pushes it down, and then it glides along and makes contact. It's not variable speed. Okay? And then when you release the trigger, the spring pushes it back, and then that ramp kicks up that back leg on the right, and that's what turns it off. And of course, that's on both the neutral and on the line side simultaneously. So that's the on-off. The direction, I went ahead and, like I showed, I took this out, took the switch element out. Focus. You can see I got that cleaned up pretty well. And then this is the mating part. And so what it does is it transfers, connecting, like, let's say, these two plates to those two plates, and that reverses the direction. And so this thing sits in here like this. Now I've removed a piece, so it's going to just drop in real easy. But it goes in like this. And then we engage this shifter. I'll show you when I put this together. And then that's what shifts this back and forth as it turns. It moves. As you shift this, it turns this back and forth. Now at the bottom of this, there's a small cam looking, or keyway looking thing there on the shaft. So I pulled out the piece that's inside that I was showing earlier, the little lever with the locating pin, and here it is right here. Okay, so this has the mating keys on it. You can see those. See the little wings on there? So those engage in there. So as you turn this, it turns that other piece. They stay together. And then that screw that went in from the inside through holds all that together. Alright, so I'm going to start by putting that back together again. I'll do that now. I'm not going to make it too tight until I'm sure I got it right. Yep. So as I move it, there you can see it moving. I'll snug that down a little bit. And that's the operation of the reversible motion, reversible direction on the drill. Okay, loosen it up some. Okay, so now to get this engaged, what I need to do is turn this. Oh, but I'm not going to be able to. I have to engage this with this before I screw that down. Okay, let's see how fast I can do this again. At least we know it can be done, right? Okay, so now get the screw out. Screws out. Now this probably will turn on its own. Yep. Okay, so now what we'll do is take this. It's disengaged from the lever inside. I'll take this and turn it to here. I'll bring this over. And then I bring this around, and then I can engage that post on this lever. There it goes. Now it's in there. So I can do this. Now I want it to line up, and it's lined up with that piece in there. Being a bit of a perfectionist, but I'm trying to get that lined up. Okay, it's pretty straight, and this is straight here, so they should They should engage each other. It's hard to show these black objects like this. So they should engage each other. Looks like they're willing to. Okay. So now I can put this screw back in. Okay. So that's working like it should. And that's moving the little lever in there. Like I say, that little post and lever is part of an interlock to keep you from switching direction while the drill is, got power to it. Okay, that's all put together. All right, so put that in the center position for now. Okay, so this is going to be a little tricky, I think. I think what we need to do is this will go in last. Okay, that'll go in last in the bottom of the housing, which is this. And then we'll hook up the wires after that. Alright, so in order to do that, we have to slide the switch mechanism in through here. Get this out of the way. And before we stick that in there, we got to put the shoes in. So I think what I'm going to do is get it positioned, and you got to do a little funny stuff with that interlock to get it engaged in this channel. So what we have to do is it wants to go in like this. So the pin needs to be towards the locking lever. So it's like that, I believe. So I've moved it to where it's, see what I'm moving in there? I moved it over. Alright, so now somehow you kind of jiggle this around until you get it into place. And I'm hoping I don't have to put the shoes on it yet. Okay, it's in the interlock position, worked. So now if I go into one position, it can slide down. I need to put in the spring. Okay. Okay, so now let's put this together with the spring inside. Alright, so the spring is going to go here, like this. We got the two springs in for the shoes. Okay, let's hope that holds. Okay, now we'll load this into here. I had a lot of fun trying to figure this out again. Let's see. I think what it is, came in at an angle like this, then shoved it over. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. All right, now you can see the motion of the switch. Now it's not moving very far because I don't have this to forward or reverse, so let's just pick one direction. And now let's see which way it goes. See what it goes. So it's stroking fine. I don't have any lubricant in here really to speak of, but I'll add that in a bit. Now I can see now why, maybe they had grease on those shoes to hold them in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this in and lock it. Okay, and that locks it in position. Okay, so now the challenge is to put those shoes in and then push this in behind it. So I'm going to see if I can do it dry. I think that's going to be difficult. Here goes nothing. So I think that's going to go like this. There's one sort of in position. What I'm going to do is kind of pretend it's in the off position and kind of have that back corner down. Like that. Okay. And now take this. I don't think it matters which way I turn it. And put it in. We'll see if it just happens to magically line up. There's going to be some resistance until these snaps snap in and we compress those shoes, if they will compress. Okay, I don't think they're lined up. I'm going to take it apart and see if it's all messed up. Looks like the one on the right is the problem. I don't remember if that's the one we had to glue up or not. Just try again. Well, I'm going to have to reassemble the little blades on this other one. They came falling out. Okay, so that one's okay. So these have, I didn't show you earlier, these have like a little bend on one end. It's on this side. And what you do is just start that in one of these guys here. So there's the bend. I'm just going to stick it in through, let's see, let's go like that or like this. Have it like this. And once you kind of get stuck in the where it's held, you just kind of bend it up and push it into place like that. It's not much holding them in. Same thing here. Like that. Then these go together like that. They have a little alignment to the teeth. Line up. And we'll see if the shoes will go in. How about that? I hope you saw it. I'm not doing it again. Okay, so let's see what we have. Now release the pin. Alright, add the pin in to hold everything together, and now I've released it. And now we have a switch that's going back and forth. Okay, let's see. This is load. I believe load went in here like this. Okay, they got a hold of it. Whew. Was I nervous? Nah. Yeah. Okay, so we had this black one went to the bottom. There's a red one that goes to the motor. So let's start getting these all put back together again. I'm going to put just a little bit of slide stuff on here. Just a little bit. Okay. All right, let's put this back together. All right, so what we had switch like this, switch like this, and we had red to the motor goes here, yellow, and black to the motor. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to take it apart and do it again, because this contact came out of position and I don't have anything to grab the line cord with. I can stick it in there and nothing happens. Oh, I got it. No, I don't. Got it. Definitely in there. Okay. Don't give up, right? Okay, so now we'll take this and put this back up in here. Like that. Like that. And this comes up. It goes on there like so. Okay, that works. Felt it shift towards a closed position there for a minute. Okay. You can see you're mashing some cords around. Okay, camera stopped because it wanted to. Alright, I've got just about all the screws finished putting it back in. Switch is working well. Okay, snug these up. The problem I have is that I turn this thing on and the camera dies, it freezes. So what I may do is, I'm missing a screw, there it is. What I may do is switch over and see if I can film the thing, if it'll work, the test with my cell phone, and then I'll just bring the video over. Hopefully that it'll work. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this thing up on the dim bulb, just in case I've done a short, to save this thing from my efforts. That's where it used to be a handle, I guess. I think I've got a handle somewhere I can use. This isn't my only half-inch drill. Okay, let me get my cell phone set up and we'll see if we can get this to run. I'm doing my cell phone, like I said, because it seems to make my camera you're looking through right now freeze. So let me get this set up. I'll let this run until it freezes, but otherwise I'll have this running. Let's see how we do here. Back up a little bit. Okay. All right. So let's see. Want the dim bulb in, power on, plug in. Dim bulb is in the circuit. Yes. Okay. I have a 4 amp fuse in. Okay. Do I see it on the camera here? On my cell phone, looks like it. Okay, it's running. The dim bulb is bright, but I don't think it's due to a short. So we're turning counterclockwise. And we're going the other directions. The voltage has dropped to 30 volts because it's on the dim bulb. Okay, I'm going to take the bypass. This will stay up to 120, and I'll probably lose you on this camera, but we'll see how it does. Like I say, it's not variable speed, I don't think. That was to loosen. There's to tighten. I can see your camera's holding on, so alright, so cool. Alright. Switch directions. Alright guys, we fixed it. That was a heck of a lot of work. A lot of fiddling stuff. Sorry it was all in black. It was hard to see what we were doing. But anyway, this was $1. And to be honest, I bought some other stuff and the guy just basically threw it all in at one price. It was no big deal. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Hope that's something you can use someday, since these switches aren't available anymore. Now you know how to take them apart, how to fight them, how just not to give up. And good luck, and thanks. Thanks for watching the video. See you later. Bye.